Alright, we're back for round 2 with Kinnan Stompy. Reveal our Yorion. So we're on the play. This is a pretty good hand on the play. I'm going to keep it. This is a turn 1 Emery, and if Emery resolves, we can also brainstorm. So yeah, last round we discovered some serious structural flaws in this deck. One of them is there's basically no way to remove a Chalice of the Void, which is devastating for us, and that we can't cast our sideboard cards. Well, that resolved quick. I think our opponent F6'd. Alright, Lotus Petal and Uro in the bin. Alright, we got options for next turn. We have turn 2 Uro lined up, or turn 2 Oko, or Uro. We can do whatever we want. Alright, so a polluted Delta deck F6'd. That makes me think there's Storm. Oh baby. What does this do? Does it do anything? Alright, well, I guess I have to put this Lotus Petal into play first. And then that'll turn on Mox Opal. And I'm going to cast Kinnan because he's here. Alright, now what? Now I play Oko, and I can also brainstorm if I want. Alright, blue, blue, green, green. Leave the blue floating. Make a food. I could just snap off this brainstorm while the mana's here, and that fuels Uro for next turn. I guess I should try to find a Force of Will since I think this is a combo deck we're playing against. I hope it's not. Honestly, if this is just a Delver or Miracles deck and we did this on turn 2, they're dead. A combo deck can still kill us, though. I have not made a land drop this turn. So if I put back the repeat Uro and the Winter Orb, because there's one in the graveyard and I don't think I want that one anyway. It's if they are a combo deck, we definitely want our mana available more than we want to limit theirs. So next turn, assuming all my things are still in play, I'm gonna elk up this food and cast Uro from the bin and start getting the beats in. I hope it's good enough. I'm gonna fetch in my upkeep. I don't want the cards that are on top of my deck. I think it's safe to get non-basics based on what we've seen out of the opponent so far. For 7, look at the top 5 cards. You can put a non-human creature from them onto the battlefield. Alright, I think that's just flavor text. My payoff, Urza, is a human, so that doesn't actually do anything in this deck. Alright, so green, green, blue, blue. So I should make my land drop first. I should fetch first also. Because if I don't fetch first, then I have to exile the Lotus Petal, which is my thing I can cast with Emery. I did this in a weird way that can get punished on Magic Online, and I just hope that it doesn't. Like right now, if they were to exile my Uro at instant speed somehow, then this mana is just floating with nowhere to go. But luckily I was unpunished. Right, here's Uro. And it's in. Let's draw a Force of Will. That would make me feel a lot better. Alright, didn't get there. Help this out. I have so much mana that I think attacking with Emery is better than playing the Lotus Petal. Let's just get damage on them. If they are a combo deck, we need to close. It's pretty cool that Yorion is a blue card. So now they know there's a blue card in my hand. So they might have to respect Force of Will a little bit. But at the same time, they're under so much pressure that I don't think they can respect Force of Will. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, they're just done on board. So they can't respect Force of Will, even if they want to. Because I still have to hope they're a Delver deck, like Grixis Control, and not a combo deck. I just don't think that's the case. Combo decks are definitely a weak spot for this style of deck. Like, they know they just get to go if they want to. Alright, we're getting Thought Seized, so now we can F6 at least. Alright, one of us is dead here. Let's see what they got. Bummer. I guess the best I can hope for is a non-deterministic kill. Oh no, Burning Wish. That should definitely kill me. They don't have any blue mana. Oh baby. Peer into the Abyss. I'm pretty excited, even if we lose here. So they can draw half their deck, lose half their life, and have one black floating. That's so fucked. We're dead. We're so dead. Well, I'm glad that even if I'm losing horribly, I get to showcase all the new cards. In the Eternal Glory podcast, Bryant Cook is one of the co-hosts, and he is obviously synonymous with the Epic Storm. And he talked about this being a viable card in the sideboard. And as we're seeing here, like, I couldn't think of anything that deterministically won the game off that Burning Wish with what they had floating. And here it is. Alright, now we're going to get drilled 10 times or more. Alright, lost to a combo deck, no surprise there. In come the Veils, the counter spells, and the Plague Engineers, because this deck does like to go for goblins. Alright, we need all our fast mana. Winter Orb can go. What else? I gotta cut 8 more cards. Jeez. It's kind of awkward because I would normally cut things like Oko and Uro versus Storm because they're kind of slow to get moving, but I don't have anything better. This deck doesn't have a lot of ways to close. Goose, Veil. I guess I probably can't afford to cut some of the fast mana. Not like a lot, but I can cut a few. This Plague Engineer is so awkward. Just having very few ways in the deck to cast it, just Opal, Astrolabe, and Goose. Kinnan can probably get shaved. Like, he's not super important to what I'm trying to do in post-board games here. This is a really hard sideboard, honestly. I guess I don't really have time to bobble either. Alright, one more. We're almost there. I think Kinnan is worse than Uro. Maybe Kinnan is worse than all of these things, and I should just have the Okos. Or I think Emery is more important than Oko, because Emery digs and enables Uro, and Uro is my biggest clock. Alright, I'm doing that. Alright, is this a... It's not a turn 1 Urza. It's turn 1 Goose plus Emery, turn 2 Urza. Yeah, I can keep that. It doesn't disrupt my opponent at all, but live and die by the stomp, as I've said. So playing out all of those cards will leave Urza plus Opal in my hand, so we can at least represent Force Blue card. But then the hand collapses entirely against a discard spell. Or if they just decide to YOLO, go for it. I'll never not love doing that. To just put 5 permanents into play on turn 1. Battlecruiser operational. Oh, I fucked up. If this was an island, I could cast this Astrolabe out of my graveyard. Alright, Ponder. Ponder isn't Thoughtseize. They shuffled. We like that. So one of my counter spells would be my best draw here. Like the Rebuke or... Okay, Island's fine. So if I... So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can cast... Yeah, so I can cast the Astrolabe and still Urza. Blue, blue. Alright, so there's that. Now let's see if we're dead. Yeah, this deck is definitely built to just go way over the top of what fair decks are doing, and just get embarrassed by what unfair decks are doing. I think that Yorion is largely unplayable in Legacy because of how far it dilutes you against the combo decks. Like the math of having a Force of Will in your hand. Like there's the finding the first force. Like you can just add 2 Force of Negations to your 80, and the math is exactly the same as having 4 in your 60. So, like, or it's even a little better, I think. And but the problem isn't having 1 Force of Will, it's being able to like cantrip into the second, because these decks are built to be able to beat a Force of Will, like short of like Belcher or Oops All Spells or something. Like a real Storm deck can beat a Force of Will. So you want to be able to like manipulate the top of your deck to like keep a force on top of your deck to protect it from their discard spells while representing enough to keep them from going off. And a Yorion deck just can't do that effectively. Got him. My hand sucks. That'll teach you. But we're definitely dead next turn. Let's just draw a counterspell right now. Oh, baby. Alright, so we drew a counterspell right now. That was lucky. Alright. Casting Lotus Petal from my graveyard does the same damage as attacking with Emery because of the construct. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so I can make a food. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. And still hold up Force of Will. That's kind of lucky, because that looks like we just shoved for maximum damage, but actually we're holding up Force of Will too. Alright, let's hope that they don't have a second Thoughtseize, or they can't beat a Force of Will. Fuck! Oh no. Alright, they had the second Thoughtseize. Alright, so we can gain 3 life, go to 22. So they have to storm for 11 if they're going to Tendrils me. And they're at 8, so ad nauseum is fake news. Though Epic Storm doesn't really rely on ad nauseum anyway. Oh god, we're going to get whatever that thing is again. Peer into the abyss. Infernal Tutor. Oh yeah, this is just deterministic. If they get past in flames, they can do all their writs again, and the tutor's there. The double Thoughtseize, they got me. We drew perfectly, but they drew more perfectly. Their deck has cantrips in it, and mine basically doesn't, though. So that's another thing. Hopefully the next round will be against a fair deck that we can just jump over the top of. I'll give them the chance to mess this up, but we are basically dead. So previously on the channel, I've played in a Rosa Stompy deck, like Uro and Urza, and it had Karn, Great Creator, as the win con. And that was a Chalice of the Void deck, which this deck plays Winter Orb in that spot, but Chalice and Winter Orb, obviously very different cards that do very different things. I understand what this deck is trying to do. Like it has the it has Kinnan, so it doesn't really need lands. Thus, if we lock down lands, we should be at an advantage, kind of thing. Like that's just like one way to approach deck building. It's like, all right, I want to build around Kinnan. What Kinnan does is ramp mana for non-land cards. Ergo, let's push as hard as we can for punishing people trying to make mana with lands. And that makes perfect sense. However, in this case, we've played against 2 decks that are also cheating on mana. opponent in the chat. Always appreciate a fan. So the way that this deck is locking is not particularly powerful against combo decks. Like, you can tell from how skinny the interaction is. Like, there's literally 4 Force of Wills in our 80 card deck as far as interaction in the main deck, and then you get 4 more out of the sideboard, which is not great. The Erosa deck, by contrast, has Chalice of the Void main, which can do a lot of the heavy lifting, and then counterspells just mop up. But this deck is putting way too much weight on just your 4 Force of Wills. So that's round 2. Stick around for round 3. Hopefully we get to pound it in some fair decks.